Let me give everybody a formula that I think could help on the golf course and in life. E plus R equals O. Because oftentimes we have an event, and say it's not a great event, the ball slices into the woods. We have to remember there's a plus R before the outcome, and it's how you respond. And if your response is in a more positive leading way, things like, I've got this, I can do this. Well, how can I best move forward? How can I still achieve the goals that I want in this situation? What do I need to do? Here's an event that affects so many people in golf. E, slow play. Outcome oftentimes is ruins my tempo, my game fell apart. So we're blaming something outside of ourselves, which we have no control over, on our game. Well, guess what happens the next time you play? Slow play, ooh, outcome, lose my tempo, there goes my game. The R is the key.
Hi, this is Bob Ferris from Meridian, Idaho, and I play at Centennial Golf Course. This is Golf Smarter, number 903.
The fastest and easiest way to consistency is through Flow State Golf with Debbie O'Connell.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Greene.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Debbie.
Fred, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here with you.
I have a natural tendency to be attracted to overachievers. So you and I are going to be really good friends.
Well, thank you for the compliment.
You are, reading your resume and everything you've done just makes me want to ask a lot of questions. You're quite remarkable.
Well, thank you so much. I hope I can deliver for your audience and help everybody learn some great things that they can implement in their lives.
Well, one of the things I've been saying about Golf Smarter since the very beginning is that I really believe that if you have an understanding of strategy, or what we call course management, and have a strong mental game, that you can lower your scores faster than if you just work on your swing mechanics. And in reading your ebook, which I really enjoyed, thank you, you even say spending time on mindset is the fastest and easiest way to improve your game. So we're already in sync.
We are. And it's so true, because when you step up to any shot, and I think everybody would agree, with confidence, you increase your chances of hitting a better shot. When you have that belief in yourself, when you can visualize the shot so clearly the way you want it, you will step up to it and perform measurably better than if you don't. And what's great, Fred, is you can improve every part of your game with the mindset shift. So it's not like, okay, let's go work on mindset for putting, and then we spend hours working on that, and now let's go spend mindset on chipping. It's not. We improve mindset and every area of your game. And ultimately, truly, your life will also improve.
So tell me, and please give me long answers. I have no problem with long answers. People think they need to give sound bites. You don't need to do that here. But let's talk about what your ebook. Let's share what it's all about and what the flow state is and how to get there.
It's a fascinating state of mind. There was a researcher, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi is his name. I think he has every letter in the alphabet in his name. Back in the 1970s, he went on this world tour and researched people who were really happy and excelling in life, and excelling in terms of fulfillment and joy, as opposed to just success as sometimes we look at it in terms of maybe dollars or homes or cars. But it was encompassing. And those who were also excelling in their hobbies and their sports. What he found was they would get to this certain state of mind where pretty much the conscious mind shut down and the unconscious mind would take over. And all of the training that they put in would automatically take over, and they could play to their best ability. They could live life in the present moment, which allowed them to feel the most fulfilled. And after years of studying this, he found there were certain things that everyone needed to do to invite flow state. Now, here's the key with flow state. You can't try to get into it. You can't force yourself to get into it. You have to set yourself up to invite it, because after all, it is flow. So we want to have flow. And you've all been in flow state. Imagine the time that you were driving your car and you arrived home and you just thought for a moment, oh my goodness, I don't remember driving home at all. You can't even picture what you were doing, what you were thinking, almost like you just drove the car, or you realized you were thinking about something else and you arrived home, or you went on one of those automatics and left your driveway with an intention of going one direction and then turned to the direction that you would naturally go, the old habit. So you've all been in flow state because we can recognize that. So what happened in that state? Your unconscious mind, which takes in about 11 million bits of information every second, was literally watching and observing and doing all the great techniques that you know and strategies to drive a car as your conscious mind was somewhere else. And that is truly flow state.
But so many golfers, recreational golfers, I don't want to talk about elite level golfers because it's too hard to relate to them. I'm sorry. Because they're at that space that we're trying to find, and we watch TV and think, oh, I can get there. But for the recreational golfer, there's no trust in what they're doing. I mean, that's who I am. That's who I play with. And you could just see it and especially hear it. I played with some people the other day, and after the first hole, it's like, oh, this is going to be a long day. It's like, dude, give yourself a break. That triple bogey is out of your system now. Okay. Just let it go. But how does the recreational golfer believe in themselves to let that go?
Such a great question. I remember I was a head golf professional for 15 years at a couple different clubs, and the member would come in and I'd say, hey, Mr. or Mrs., whomever it was, how are you today? Well, I don't know. I haven't hit a golf shot yet, was oftentimes the answer. And I would always think, oh my gosh, if you would be in a happy, positive state and get ready to have an amazing day, you probably will go out and play better rather than having your golf game influence how you feel and what the rest of your day is going to be like. So it truly is mindset. And there are conscious strategies. And when, most golf professionals teach the mental game of golf, it is basically conscious strategies, which I agree and I teach it. And it is so absolutely empowering. One is your thoughts. I also go deeper with my coaching as well, and we'll get to that. But it does start with your thoughts. Your thoughts influence your emotions, and then your body language. So I think many people have heard about the power posing, right? If you just stand in a confident way, you literally can start to shift the hormones in your body and feel more confidently. I mean, most people know about body language the other way. You can look at someone and see how their body reacted to their emotions. Well, our emotions react to our bodies. So one is standing more confidently, thinking positive thoughts. I don't know if you remember the story about Amy Brockerstedt. She played the 16th hole at the Waste Management golf tournament in Phoenix, Arizona, during the practice round with Gary Woodland. And Matt Kuchar was there as well. But Gary really
the 16th hole?
With Amy. The 16th hole during the practice round.
That's the par 3 that is completely surrounded.
So imagine, it wasn't completely packed during the practice round, but there were still hundreds of people in the stands. And Amy has Down syndrome, but she is a golfer who has a nice golf swing, plays a great game. She's been involved in LPGA programs for a long time. So she had this opportunity. And when she started, the PGA put a microphone on her. So you hear her talking to her dad on the first hole, and he says, you got this? She said, I got this. And you could tell she was back there picturing her shot. She hits the tee shot. It goes in the green side bunker. And Gary's, saying, wow, what a great shot, because she really has an impressive swing. And as she's walking, she's looking at everybody and they're waving and they're clapping. And she's like, oh my gosh, they love me. And she is so in the present moment. So everyone can learn from this, because imagine yourself in that situation and you have, quite a few hundred people in this huge grandstand. You're playing with 2 tour professionals. How many people would start to think and worry about what others are going to think, and don't embarrass yourself? So think of that language and what it does to then your performance, compared to Amy in thinking, I've got this. So she goes and Gary says, do you want to hit out of the bunker? And she says, yes. And so she proceeds to walk towards the bunker saying, I've got this. I can do this. I can do this. And she steps
and you're
into
listening
the bunker.
to her the whole time.
You hear her the whole time because she's mic'd up. It's
awesome.
I mean, it's a tearjerker.
Yeah.
So she hits it out of the bunker to about 10 feet. The crowd goes crazy. Gary and the caddy, they're high-fiving her. Way to go. What an awesome. Amy, you're awesome. This is great. And she's like, thank you. So she's just also, how many of you out there don't accept compliments well? She says, thank you. And she takes the compliment. Then she steps up. Gary looks at it, little right to left, and she says, yes. And he says, you got this? And she said, I got this. And then you hear her, I can do this. I've got this. I've got this. She steps up. Now the crowd just quiets. Gary helped her read it. She's over the putt, about a 10-footer. She strokes it, breaks a little left to right, goes in the cup. I mean, I have chills telling you the story. The crowd goes crazy. Gary's like, oh my God, you're amazing. You're amazing. And they're all high-fiving, hugging. Amy, thank you so much. This was great. All right. And it was just such a learning experience for everyone. The video went viral. Now, Gary, this is what is so neat. Gary then is playing later that year in the US Open. Never won a major. On the last day, he kept saying, I got this. I can do this. I've got this, because he learned it from Amy. And he went and he credited Amy with that last day, that he was able to handle the nerves of the day. Because of course, and everyone out there, you will get nervous when you have an exciting opportunity that means a lot to you. You're about to shoot your lowest score ever. You're about to win the club championship. You start off your round and you're playing way better than you expected. And you're on the 6th hole and you look and you're like, oh my gosh. Or someone says, wow, you're playing great today. And you start to feel the nerves, and, it's okay, because you're excited for the opportunity and it means a lot. So that's what Gary was going through. And he ends up winning the US Open. And afterwards he credited Amy for helping him get through that last day. And Fred, what brings this home to me is Amy, who, as I said, has Down syndrome. She went on to get a golf scholarship. She played first person with Down syndrome to play in a national athletic competition. And they started a foundation called You've Got This Foundation. And she helps other people with Down syndrome and other, emotional disorders, and helps them to empower them. And where I met Amy the first time was in a program we have called the LPGA Leadership Academy. I actually co-wrote the curriculum. And I was the lead instructor when Amy was in our class in Phoenix, Arizona. And we talked about your thoughts and body language and believing in yourself. And what I taught her and the entire class that day was, you can say things like, I've got this. And she took that and ran with it.
Yes, she
and then
did.
Impacted millions of people. Gary Woodland personally. And it helped her to achieve all the success that she's achieved in her world. So it starts with the mind, for sure.
I got this. Yeah. But you know what? They've got this. This is time for a commercial break. We'll be right back. Okay, I'm still recovering. That was a phenomenal story. And I actually, I played TPC Scottsdale the week after the Waste Management, and the grandstands were still up. And I'll never forget, even though they were empty, how intimidating it was to tee off at the 16th hole. It was incredible. All right, but back to, people not accepting it. There's this acceptance that doesn't happen. And that is so important in golf, because even though you've made a good golf swing, or maybe you didn't, but got a good result, why do we have to blame things versus just accepting, okay, that's what happens in golf. How do you deal with it? Worry about the next shot, not what just happened, right?
Well, Fred, that is such a great question. And this is where my coaching takes the mental game of golf to a whole different level called mindset, because it's all about the meaning that you put to the shot. So when you hit a poor shot, what is the meaning you put to it? And it goes actually back to unconscious beliefs. Think of a perfectionist who, when they were a kid, if they got a 99 on a test and brought their test home and their parents said, well, what happened on the one you got wrong? And never praised them for the 99 questions they answered well and got the right answer. What happens is we start to develop a belief that I have to be perfect to get recognized, to feel worthy, to feel good enough. And so many people out there have that belief, I'm not good enough. And then the meaning they put to a poor golf shot goes to, see, I'm not good enough. Or if I'm not perfect, they feel worse about it than really the golf shot warrants. And what our brain doesn't really know the difference between a bad golf shot and when they were maybe a kid and they felt unworthy or not cared for. They're like, oh no, what does this mean? I didn't do it well. I didn't do it perfectly. Your brain works so fast and goes boom. So I have other clients who hold the club too tightly. Most people do. So loosen up your grip is great advice I can give you. If you find that you can't, you want to start to examine, what is it about control? How do I feel if I let go of control? And many of my clients we get to, they feel unsafe. And again, your brain doesn't recognize some out of control situation from the past that made someone feel unsafe, or maybe a bunch of fear came up, to feeling an effortless golf swing where it's less control and it's fluid. So to get into flow state, what I do along with my master certified coaches is we go into the unconscious mind and figure out, okay, what is the meaning you put to that poor shot or that triple bogey, or when you're on the first tee and people are watching and you're all of a sudden worried about what people think rather than focusing on your target? What is the meaning you put to when there's slow play? I'll give you an example. One of my clients would never step away from a shot, even though her thoughts maybe went somewhere else. And she felt like she had to hurry up and didn't want to make people wait. So when people were behind her, it also influenced how she played. She's a single digit handicap player. Wow. So she explained this one situation to me and she said, oh my God, Debbie, I was a dog leg right and I couldn't hit driver because I'd hit it through the fairway. So I had a hybrid in my hand and I rushed the shot. I didn't even take a practice swing because we were a little behind. And I get up there and I cold top it. And she said, I walked up to the next shot without thinking because I didn't want to make my group wait or anyone else. And I stepped up and I hit it. It was the wrong club. I hit it through the fairway. And she said, I don't know why it always seems, I'm aware of it, but I can't seem to stop myself. Well, when we started digging and asking, what's the meaning you put to having people wait? You know, I asked her a bunch of other questions to get to this, but we got to the meaning that she put to it was really she was unvalued and unworthy because, and not loved, because when she was a kid, her parents were divorced and her dad would say to her, if you're not here, if you're not outside when I'm come to pick you up, I'm leaving you. So she could never make her dad wait.
Right.
And her brain, our unconscious mind, doesn't know the difference. So making people wait on the golf course compared to making your dad wait, it seems the same unconsciously. So she said, I am always early for everything. I never make people wait because it represents that dad leaves, I'm abandoned even. So we go in and figure that out. We release it. So there's neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy. We literally can shift the belief on that. And now she was so funny. I was talking to her. She said, I can't believe this. I'll even step away and start my pre-shot routine over now if I'm out of sync, or if I'm distracted. So it's totally shifted the way she plays. She's not a slow player in general at all, but now she can actually, a situation where maybe she hits a poor shot, she can take the time and think through it, make sure she has the right club, take a practice swing, and be in her own rhythm now that helps her to play her best golf. So it's fascinating. When I got deeper into this, I was even more fascinated because for years I did the conscious reframes. Now I do the unconscious work along with the conscious. It's both. I work both sides, the conscious and unconscious mind, and I'm getting the fastest, easiest results. And it also helps to welcome flow state, because when we're in flow state, we lose our self-consciousness. We're not worried at all what people think. Our ego is not there. We're just totally immersed in the present moment.
Yeah, well, you wrote that in the book. Conscious mind shuts down.
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting because mulligans are not encouraged. They're not legal. But I've always said you can step away from the shot and take a mental mulligan, and it doesn't count on your scorecard. And people will hopefully be understanding of like, wait, I need to reframe this. But it's so hard to do because now all of a sudden, oh, wait, my foot's in a divot here. I'm thinking that's all you're thinking about now is your foot, and you're not focused on what you're there to do. And that distracts you away from making a good golf shot.
And most people will think, oh, hit it anyway. Right. I've done that.
Right.
I used to do that. Oh, just swing anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Or some noise distracts you from your focus, or you feel off balance. Something comes up, or all of a sudden you doubt the club you have, and then you're over the ball in what we call the play box, and you're like, yeah, oh wow, that wind. I don't know if this is the right club. Nah, this is the right club. Go ahead and swing. And so instead of stepping away, it really that does take some unconscious mind reframes possibly, and conscious mind awareness, and just start to do it once or twice, and you'll start to develop a better habit. I now can literally be ready to swing, and I'll start my backswing and go, nope. And I just keep walking with it. And I'm like, I got to do this over, just because all of a sudden I really recognize it. So it's that awareness, and if all of you could recognize your own thoughts and your own emotions, and then when they're not serving you, shift them. So that's what you can do while you play. While you play, shift things. And it starts with awareness that, oh my gosh, I'm just, everything I'm thinking is negative right now. I'm totally criticizing myself. We have this voice called the inner critic that comes out often in golf. And that inner critic is just nailing you. So recognize that and say, no, I don't deserve that. And then shift it. And then between rounds, get with another coach, and you're all welcome to reach out to me. And I have a team of master certified coaches, where we can help go, okay, what's coming up that you have a tendency to criticize yourself so much? So do that work between. On the golf course, take charge of your mental state, take charge of, where your thoughts are. Here's one of the greatest tips that everyone really pay attention to this, because it'll help your golf game every round. Go to gratitude. You literally cannot be stressed and thankful at the same time. So they've tested people, and they put them in the stressful situation, and they're all the electrodes on, and they have all the monitors and everything. And they say, okay, now think of things that you really appreciate. And they'd start going to gratitude, think about family or people they love, or that they can see, that they can walk. Imagine if you're out on the course and say, wow, what a beautiful day I'm experiencing. Wow, I'm so thankful I can walk, I can see. I mean, blind people play golf. So if you can see, people in wheelchairs play golf. So if you can walk, we can be grateful. And if you can't, thankful for the chair or the cart that allows you to play. What can you be grateful for when you're out on the golf course? The beauty of golf, the game of golf, that you're healthy enough to be out there golfing. And all of a sudden your stress, the negative emotions, that pit in your gut sometimes, right? We all feel that where we're so frustrated and angry, because Fred, you asked, how do we get rid of that triple bogey? Well, as you're walking to the next hole, go to gratitude, and I've done it. It eases that angst that was there. And all of a sudden your shoulders can drop. Put a smile on your face. Number 2, put a smile on your face. Literally, you release your own happy drugs, serotonin, dopamine, and everything will shift physically and mentally for you. And then you'll be able be able to get back to your own rhythm and tempo and timing and get focused and play back to your ability. Use those things while you're out on the golf course. So incredibly powerful. And you're in charge of it. So when I teach this, I remind people, you are in charge of how you feel. You are in charge. Don't give in to that inner critic and the angst or the frustration or the anger you might feel or the embarrassment, whatever comes up. Don't give in to it. Shift it. Change your thoughts. Change your body language. Go to gratitude. Put a smile on your face, and you will notice a major shift in your body, and you'll get back to playing great golf.
It's hard to fill in the blank here, frustrated, being a victim, feeling anxious, as long as you have gratitude. It's something 100%. That, well, we talked about a few weeks ago when my wife was on the show and about her book. And let's take another time out. We'll talk about that more, but we'll be right back. The pressure of performance, the pressure of a short putt anytime, let alone on the 18th hole when it means something, is something we all have a sense of. We all understand the pressure, but you've had it in so many different sports. You've really achieved such incredible things. What was harder? That final strike bowling 300 or a short putt knowing that this could win, or any length putt that could win a tournament for you? You're amazing. But you've achieved both, right?
Yes, and I've hit the free throw. I've hit the free throw.
That's and you were in a Final Four, game. Right, in college?
Yeah, played in the Final Four. We actually had a game when I was a freshman against Old Dominion in Rupp Arena in Kentucky. I went to Western Kentucky University, so the red towel tradition, and Diddle Arena. We had a packed house, over 15,000 people for a regular season women's basketball game. We set the record in Kentucky for attendance for a women's game. And wow, I was a freshman, and coming down the stretch, it was a very close game. They were fouling me because I was a freshman. So I missed the first one. And then from then on, every time they fouled me, I made the rest of them down the stretch. And I tell you, breathing is a key. And then the focus on your target. So yeah, those were good. But here's the difference. In basketball, you're running around, so you don't really feel the nerves. All of a sudden you're in the situation, but your heart's pounding because you've been running around anyway. And all that adrenaline that you get running around and the neurochemicals that are released for exercise, they actually help you to stay calmer in that situation. Even though it's a pressure situation, it and it's important. It's not as physically noticeable. When I had 11 strikes in a row and I stepped on the lanes, and everyone's behind me, no one else is bowling in the entire place.
Is this a competition or just some random night?
It was league. It was a league.
It was league. Okay. League. So everybody's watching
night.
Now.
Every week's competition for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't need it for the competition. It was just something that I desired for so long, and I kept blowing it. And here's why. How I talk about the unconscious beliefs? I would get nerve. My heart would start pounding when I'd get 7 in a row. And if I was lucky enough to get the 8th, it was really pounding. And I would start to focus on these nerves and try not to feel so nervous. Because when I was a kid, I would watch Wide World of Sports. Do you remember the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat?
The agony of defeat.
The skier.
Of course.
So I would watch
Jim
that,
McKay.
I would watch bowling on TV. Jim McKay, yeah. I'd watch all these sports. And inevitably, if an athlete had a pressure situation and they failed to in the situation, the announcer would say, "Oh, the nerves got to them. The pressure really got to them." And if they succeeded, I remember hearing, "Wow, he or she has ice in their veins." So I had a belief that if you felt nervous, you couldn't perform. Just by watching and taking that in, and how the commentators would analyze the situation. I didn't know that it's okay to feel nervous. You just had to switch your focus. Instead of focusing on the nerves, let your body do what it's going to do. It's natural to feel nervous in a situation where it's important to you. So here I am. And I went to a sports psychologist because I kept failing. And all of a sudden I was like, maybe I get too nervous to have a 300 game. I'll never have one. Okay. And then I went, no, I've got to figure this out. So then I went to a sports psychologist. I was doing meditation. She was a certified licensed hypnotherapist. And so I was doing meditation. So I was reframing my unconscious mind beliefs as well as learning consciously what to do in that situation. I also took bowling lessons from Nelson Burton Jr., who was a PBA Hall of Famer. So between asking him those questions, my sports psychologist, the meditations, I was ready for this moment. Didn't mean I didn't feel nervous. I was shaking everywhere. I wasn't even sure I could walk. I mean, my heart was pounding. I got up, I took the breath, and I just said, me and my spot. I'm a spot bowler. I had a spot in the lanes. And Fred, I threw as good a ball on that 12th ball as I did the first one. I actually threw 12 that were so it flow state exactly the same. Rhythm, tempo, timing. It felt so good coming off my hand. I'm doing one of these and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I watch it go in and I just jumped up and down because, and all of you remember this. Sometimes the more challenging it is to succeed in a goal, the more meaningful the goal will be when you finally achieve it. And I cried and I just, it was an incredible moment. But that, and you can all do that. Just make sure you focus on the result that you want. Imagine that. And then in the moment, breathe and have a very narrow focus and stay present. Because it's different than anxiety, which is fear of the future. I wasn't afraid if I didn't get it. It was just important to me. So I was nervous to get it, but I was in the present moment. And that's a huge key for all of you to succeed in the situation. Now in golf, I actually a lot of times will put a smile on my face when I'm about to putt. So I'm in that pressure situation. I look down, I get it. I feel my heart pounding. I take my breath. I have the picture of the hole in my mind as I look at the ball. I've literally smiled and then I just had that little extra between the breath and the smile. My body just got relaxed enough to perform it.
And it keeps you from clenching your jaw and adding that tension, right? That might be in your shoulders and your jaw and your neck. Smiling's going to release all that, right?
Well, absolutely. And a great drill for everybody is take a potato chip when you're practicing, put it between your teeth. So you're like this and you're holding the potato chip and swing and don't break that chip. So that means you're swinging effortlessly. Because so many people have powerless effort. And what you want in the golf swing is effortless power. That swing where you swing, you're like, I didn't feel like I did anything. And it went better than ever. It's because you used your entire body, and you were in perfect rhythm, tempo, timing. That's what golf is. It's a dance. Just get your rhythm and tempo and timing. Let the ball get in the way of your beautiful move.
The pre-shot routine. I eat peanut butter pretzels when I play, so I'm definitely going to put one of those in my mouth next time I take a drive and see if I crush it and leave crumbs all over the place. But
the key is to crush your drive, Fred. Crush the drive. Don't crush
the peanut butter pretzel.
Don't yes.
Will do. A pre-shot routine, we talk about it a lot and the importance of it, and the people, I don't know if everyone understands the value of it. You must have an incredible pre-shot routine, I would think, for bowling as well, because it'll get you into a place where you're like, I need to be comfortable here. So pre-shot routine will do that. Even shooting free throws. Now, obviously, can't have a pre-shot routine when you're in the flow of a basketball game and everything's reactionary. But I would think that those three spots, golf, bowling, and free throws, a pre-shot routine is critically important.
100%, and not enough amateurs put enough time into this. Your brain loves familiarity. And that's why sometimes we stay in places in our world that are familiar that may not be the best, because our brain's like, no, at least this is familiar. It may not be the best, but it's familiar. So when you get into a pre-shot routine, it doesn't matter the situation, whether it's high pressured or not. You start your pre-shot routine, your unconscious mind is like, oh, this is familiar. Oh yeah, this is what we do. This is our routine. And there's a calming effect to that. And it helps you get into the present moment. You watch any sport on TV, tennis players will bounce the ball the same amount of times, do the same move. Basketball players on a free throw, like you said, will do the same thing. I would bounce the ball 3 times, take it up, and then I'd shoot. So that was my routine. I mean, I know I haven't played, I've graduated college a while ago, but so I had that routine. There was a colleague of mine told me a story about Jack Nicklaus and his routines. His putting routine never changed. And he actually saw a video of Jack early in his career and late in his career. And they started 2 videos at the same exact moment. They hit play. And then occasionally they would hit pause on both of them. And he was in the exact position. If he was taking a step and his right leg was in the air 3 inches on the one video, it was the right leg in the air 3 inches on the other. That's how precise Jack Nicklaus was. So that leads me to believe that we can all get better. So many people say, yeah, I stand behind the ball, I take my practice swing, and then I set up, I look at the target, and I swing. Well, how many steps do you actually take between the time you take your practice swing and walk into what we call the play box? So if you start, like, do you take the right, left, right? Do you turn? Then do you have your feet together and step out left, right? How many wiggles do you do? If you get more precise with it, it's actually going to help you stay in a flow state or get into a flow state, welcome the flow state. It will help you in pressure situations to just get into your routine and then get focused in the present moment. It is so powerful. And I encourage every one of you to make sure you have a pre-shot routine and then literally practice. And I'm not saying you have to be as good as Jack Nicklaus tomorrow. What I'm saying is start to have one and then say, okay, then start to notice how far back you stand. How many steps does it take me? Okay, I'm really comfortable with this. It's a process. It's a process. Take your time, but have one. And it may be different. Mine is different for putting and different for chipping than it is for my full swing. Because in putting and chipping, I like to stand right next to the ball and feel the pace. In my full swing, I stand behind it and I like to swing down the line. So I don't stand next to the ball. But you choose for you what works. But I do encourage a point in your practicing where you visualize the shot, because the more clear you are with your outcome and the intention you have for the shot, the more your brain can help you achieve it. So I encourage that. I encourage a practice swing, because our clubs weigh different things. They have different lengths. So you want to just feel and let your body know, okay, here's the club I have in my hand. So I do encourage those 2 things for sure somewhere, but develop your own. And about that visualizing, here's what I tell people with visualizing a shot. Visualize it like it means the world. Be precise on a chip shot. How high is it going to fly? Where is it landing? How much is rolling? On your full swing shot, see what kind of shape is it going to be? Where is it landing? See it rolling. Your putt, see it rolling down the line. As precise as you can get. And then when you get into what we call the play box, now swing like you don't care where it goes. That's the tricky part of golf, because now you have to release the outcome, get in the present moment, and then let your talents take over.
All right, another timeout. Let's find out what's happening on Golf Smarter Mulligans this week. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans is the first of 2 consecutive episodes from 2011 that made such an impact on me that 12 years later, I still consciously incorporate it into my swing today. I've even tried to get this guy or his son on the show for the last few years for an update, but they've kind of disappeared from the internet, even though the book and the app are still available. Our guest is John Novasel, who created Tour Tempo. After years of talking about the importance of the 3-to-1 swing tempo, his theories were picked up and confirmed by researchers at Yale University.
But the more I looked at swings, the good players came out to this 3-to-1. And how we did it was by frame counts. As you watch video on your TV, there are 30 still frames per second of video. So when you're off a couple frames, it can really mess up your swing. And our best example of that ever is Tiger Woods. In the 2002 Open at Bethpage that he won by a mile, he was consistently 24-8 on all of his full swings, just 24-8, 24-8, 24-8, just kept doing it. And guess what? If you read our article in Sports Illustrated about Tiger that we put out in September, and it's also the first chapter of the new book, is now Tiger's the most screwed up of anybody on the tour for tempo.
Wow. That's Golf Smarter Mulligans, episode 219, the first of two featuring John Novasel of Tour Tempo in an episode we call Why You Don't Swing Like a Pro and How to Change It. Please subscribe for free to both of our golf podcasts, Golf Smarter, published every Tuesday since 2005, and our sister podcast that revisits the best of the Golf Smarter podcasts that's just no longer available anywhere else. It's called Golf Smarter Mulligans, being released every Friday from wherever you're listening right now. You mentioned multiple times the play box, the thought box. I always called it the thought box and the shot box, but it all comes from Vision 54. Lynn Marriott, Pia Nilsson, who are amazing teachers and get referred to almost as much as Manolo, but it's a different conversation. Tell me about your pre-shot routine and your use of the thought box and the play box.
Oh, absolutely. And it even goes to right brain, left brain, right? So our left brain is that thinking brain, right? So it goes from checking out the lie, looking at the wind. So you're literally thinking and analyzing and choosing your club. Now, something that I teach, when I'm working with professional athletes, I do a lot of work in corporate America as well, and executives. I help people, in preparation of their day, in their round. So I think pre-shot starts pre-round. And with a meditation to invite your intuition to be your loudest voice. Because I think when you're making those decisions in the conscious way, your intuition can also help you. Because how often do you hit the right club with the right yardage and you just blast it over the green? And it's because your adrenaline was going. So I encourage, and that's why I'm certified in hypnosis and I do meditations, because I so believe in inviting that intuition rather than the inner critic to be your loudest voice and literally help you in those decisions. So there you are in there. And there are times that I will literally put my hand on the club and I'll say, intuition, is this the right club? Because I'm between clubs or the wind or it's uphill and I'm deciding, and your intuition is right. And that's you all know your intuition. It's that voice that one day said, take the umbrella. And you looked outside, you're thinking, it's sunny skies and the weather, I don't see a prediction of rain. And then about 5 o'clock, you're like, darn, I knew, something told me I needed to bring my umbrella today. Well, that was your intuition. And it does, either it's a feeling inside or a little voice in your mind that tells you sometimes. It's that time you said, I should have done it. I knew I should have. I knew something told me. And that's a voice to listen to on the golf course. So pre-round, I have a pre-golf meditation that I have all my clients use, and it truly does help them to get in a great mental state before the round. And then the think box, that's when you make all those decisions. And then you step over what we call the decision line. Lynn and Pia, great friends of mine and colleagues, and love learning from them. And then I'm sharing with them what I'm doing on the unconscious mind, and they're loving what I'm doing as well. So it's a great it's great to have those colleagues that we can have these conversations with whom we can. So then you step into the play box. Now it's time to play. You want to go right brain. You want to be that creative mind that just visualize the target and get yourself in that present moment, totally immersed in that moment. And it's you and that golf ball. And like I said, in that think box, visualize a shot like it means the world. And now you step in and let yourself perform. Mickey Wright had one of the best golf swings ever. She was back in the 1950s, early on in the LPGA, had over 82 wins on the tour. Many say I think her and Annika are probably the two best players. She retired a little bit young, like Annika did. And people would ask her, the reporters would say, Mickey, it's amazing. We watch you play and the ball seems to go at your target every time. What is your secret? She said, I don't care where it goes. That's how I hit it where I want it. I don't care where it goes. So it's, again, instead of getting ahead of yourself and being fearful of the outcome of that water, of the bunker, or where the ball might go, now you're ahead of yourself. And that can cause anxiety because you're fearing this outcome, or you're trying to force the outcome. You picture it, so you tell your brain what you want, and then you let it go and you get back to the present moment. I had a student one time who he hit the greatest shot he'd ever hit in his life. And he's like, oh my gosh. The next shot, it was one of his worst. And I said to him, I said, did you try to hit that shot again? He said, yeah, I loved it. It was great. And these were the words I said to him. I said, here's the key. Don't try to do what you did. Just do what you did. And I said, does that make any sense? And he was a lawyer and he was great with words. And he said, I think what you're saying is repeat the process. Don't try to repeat the outcome. Because how many stories have you heard about someone having the lowest round ever, their greatest, or even the best front nine ever, and now they try to repeat it, or the next time they play that course, they're like, oh yeah, I made birdie on this. Let me make that birdie again. So they're trying to repeat the outcome instead of just doing what they did. Do the process, stay in the present moment, make your shot. And then wherever it goes, now go find it and hit it again. So that's the key. And I think that's probably one of the most challenging things for people to do, because we want to visualize the shot. You want to have that outcome. But then when you're about to hit it, you've got to release that outcome, get in the present moment, and allow your skills to take over.
Wow. Repeat the process. Don't try to repeat the outcome. That's pretty amazing. Whoa. Tell me about, one of the most incredible things about your ebook, The 7 Principles of Lowering Your Handicap with Flow State Golf, is the subtitle, which is the key for every golfer, the fastest and easiest way to play consistent golf. Consistent is the word that everybody's trying to find. And, I played with the guy the other day. I said, hey, you were very consistent today. He goes, I was terrible. I said, you shot a 57-57. That seems consistent to me. There's a couple, obviously there's things you have to work on, but you're not all over the map. Right? Like the lawyer who you were playing with, who had the 2 different shots. We call it, that's Ray golf, right? You know Ray golf? What's
Ray golf, Fred?
The first shot you hit like Ray Floyd, and the next one you hit like Ray Charles.
Oh yes, that's right. I love it. That is great.
Let's talk about consistency. Is it a myth? Well, is it real?
Well, here's the thing. One, you're correct. Everyone wants to be consistent, and they want to be consistent. This is the part they don't clarify all the time, with the best shot they've ever hit. So your buddy absolutely was consistent, but it wasn't. He's like, what? But if he was consistent with 2 low rounds, then he'd be like, yes, I was consistent with my best shot. So people will say this to me, what are your goals for our lesson today? I want to be more consistent. And I said, well, with the best shot you've ever hit? And they're like, oh yeah, with that shot. I want to hit it well more often and more consistently. So that's what it comes down to. I believe it's possible. And the key is mindset and the unconscious mind in particular. So it comes down to allowing yourself to get out of your own way. People would ask me for years, what is your philosophy in teaching golf? I said, basically, I help people get out of their own way. So when it's just the pure physical components and performance skills, getting people more relaxed, letting the tension, allowing them to trust gravity, centrifugal force, to get out of the way of what will help them play their best physically as well. Get them in a really good setup and get them started to create a great backswing to allow the swing to happen, to allow the techniques. And then mentally, it's getting out of your own way. Because I believe if you can hit that one great shot, why can't you repeat it? Why can't you? What's different? something's different in your mindset, which maybe creates a little more tension, creates a little lack of focus. But if we start to train that part and we get rid of the self-consciousness by getting rid of those unconscious limiting beliefs, and we get rid of major negative emotions, because even negative emotions, it's like what they call a gestalt in psychology, where it builds. Like if you have a lot of anger from your life, it's not surprising that you may overreact and have more anger in a golf shot than really that it warrants. So if you literally release the anger and then start with a clean slate, now your anger will just be warranted for life situations. And really, how angry should you get at a golf shot? You just want to say to people all the time, you're not that good to get that angry
That's
at
right.
a bad golf shot. Right?
That's right.
Why,
You're
why
not
do
good
you
enough to
think
throw
you
your
can hit
clubs.
it? Yeah. Why, if you didn't train it, take someone like Tiger Woods, and he trained unconsciously. His dad took him to a learned hypnosis from self-hypnosis from Navy SEALs, a buddy of his. And they would literally hypnotize Tiger and then have him go play golf and then take him out of the hypnotic state. So he literally learned how to get in flow state through hypnosis in a way. And I saw a great interview with Tiger, and he said, I don't actually remember many of the greatest shots I've ever hit. I don't remember hitting it. Because what he would do, he'd be in his think box and he'd choose his club. He said, I remember picking the club out of the bag. And then the next thing I literally can remember consciously is watching the ball fly to the hole. So what would happen? His unconscious mind would take over. And if we could get ourselves in that flow state more often, welcome it. Now I say get ourselves, fall into flow state, flow into it more often, then we can do it. And it does take that unconscious mind, those beliefs. Also, knowing, the mental game strategies that we learned, the breath, the target, and the think box, play box. And then your post-shot reaction is also a key. How you react to the shot will influence the next shot as well. And you want to be neutral or positive. So everybody remember that, how you react. Let me give everybody a formula, Fred, that I think could help them on the golf course and in life. E plus R equals O. Everybody write that down. E plus R equals O. Because oftentimes we have an event, and say it's not a great event. The ball goes, slices into the woods, or a world pandemic comes along. There's an event, and we're like, oh, and then we think that's the outcome. It's going to be negative. We have to remember there's a plus R before the outcome, and it's how you respond. And if your response is in a more positive leading way, things like, I've got this, I can do this. Well, how can I best move forward? How can I still achieve the goals that I want in this situation? What do I need to do? Here's an event that affects so many people in golf. E, slow play. Outcome oftentimes is ruins my tempo, my game fell apart. So we're blaming something outside of ourselves, which we have no control over, on our game. Well, guess what happens the next time you play? Slow play, ooh, outcome, lose my tempo. There goes my game, right? So the R is the key. And you want to take that responsibility and empower yourself to say, okay, slow play, what can I do to maintain my tempo? Can I go to gratitude? Can I have more conversations with my playing partner? Can I just ignore them? And then when it's my turn, take an extra practice swing, take more breaths. How can I keep my rhythm, timing, and tempo going, even though this event is happening that used to impact me? So that's called being in cause. That's you causing the next moment of your life by taking the responsibility on you. Because too many people in golf blame their poor golf on things outside of them. Well, the ranger came along, he's following me. Again, what's the meaning you put to the ranger? Oh, he probably thinks we're playing slow, right? If that's the meaning you put, maybe he just likes your golf swing and he wanted to see you play. And he happened to be heading by you. He stopped, So what are the meanings you put to things is one. And take the responsibility. Event plus how you respond truly is how you get the outcome. So that is really important. I don't remember your initial question. I know I went on a tangent,
That's
but
okay.
I wanted to make sure I served everybody as best I can today and can deliver as much as I can.
tell people I gotta say the ebook is quick, it's direct, it's succinct, it's worth reading. It's not a tough read at all. And tell people how they can get a hold of it.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for asking. I want to give it to all of your listeners for
Oh,
free.
thank
I
you.
want to just give it to everybody because I love sharing this. I've been that struggling athlete who never felt like she was reaching her full potential, and it was frustrating. And I'd say, "Am I afraid of success? Am I afraid of failure? What's going on?" And I would be frustrated that I wasn't getting there, and I felt like I fell short of my potential. So I dug so deep. I'm obsessed with our brains and how they work and how they influence our daily performance and our lives, for sure. So I want to give this to everybody. And here's the text number. You just have to text FLOW to this number, 727 339 0106. 727 339 0106. Text the word FLOW, FLOW, and you will get a link to then download the free copy of the book. And I hope you really enjoy it. I hope it serves you well. There's some stories in there. I love to teach in stories. I love to learn in stories myself. So there's some stories from which everyone can learn. And wishing all of you just amazing golf, consistently playing your best. It's possible. Believe it. You can do it.
Absolutely. That number and the word will be in the show notes. So if you didn't write it down, I have, and I'll give it to you. Debbie, this has really been an inspiration. I truly appreciate sharing this time with you. Thank you.
Yay. I'm so glad to hear it. I love to share. I've created a masterclass. And if you can give everybody my website too, look for Keys to Being a Champion on my website. I do that course about 4 times a year. So watch for the next upcoming course for you.
What is the website? Tell us.
Oh, it's Debbie, DEBBIE O'Connell, OCONNELL.com. So Debbie-O'Connell.com. And then look under Golf Positive Courses, Keys to Being a Champion. And I'd love to serve you and help you play your best golf.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation. We've got some pretty interesting guests coming up over this summer. Next week, John Lag Erickson. He's been on the show before, former PGA Tour winner and purveyor of AdvancedBallStriking.com, will be joining us for a long discussion on many topics, including why he doesn't think we need to grow the game, just sustain it. We'll get to hear all about a new book called Learning the Golf Swing Through Physics with Junshen Wang, and a conversation I'll be recording next week with both Dr. Bob Jones IV, grandson of Bobby Jones, and another doctor I introduced him to recently, Dr. Joseph Parent, author of Zen Golf. Not exactly sure which direction that interview will go, but if you have any specific questions or topics you want to make sure that we cover, please let me know before July 21st when we're recording that conversation. And you may have noticed in the last month that we have really increased our presence on social media, including articles in LinkedIn and Facebook, short videos on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and tips, videos, and insights on Twitter. If you've seen some of these new posts and are checking out Golf Smarter for the first time, welcome to the team. You're encouraged to go through our archives, including our other podcast, Golf Smarter Mulligans, to take advantage of the wide variety of entertaining and educational interviews we've published since 2005. And I invite you to become a Golf Smarter ambassador if you're new, which includes getting free gifts of your choice. First, you can share your review of our podcast, like I received from Steve this past week, who said, I came across Golf Smarter about 1.5 years ago when I started exploring golf podcasts for my commute. This show was one of the first I added to my rotation and really got hooked during the series of interviews with Tony Manzoni. And later he goes on to say, if you're looking for an entertaining and educational golf podcast that covers a wide variety of the golfing world, I'd recommend Golf Smarter. Thank you, Steve. That was very kind of you. Now, the other way to become a Golf Smarter ambassador is to do what Bob Ferris of Meridian, Idaho did at the beginning of the show. Share with us where you live, where you play, and then introduce the episode number. Now, Bob chose to receive Tony Manzoni's video of the Loft's Fundamental, and Steve, who wrote the review, is getting a box of Odin X1 balls with the Golf Smarter logo. And if those don't tickle your fancy, you can also receive a glove and glove storage compartment from redroostergolf.com. I'll leave a link in the show notes and today's blog post so that you can learn more about these fabulous partners. Send me an email and I'll get back to you with some instructions of what to do and what to say. Just write to golfsmarterpodcast@gmail.com or visit golfsmarter.com and click on the Hey Fred button. One more quick story. This weekend I went out to play, and it was the first time with a new golf bag. I did a lot of research before deciding on which one to get, as for years I've had a bag that was it was wearing out. It needed to be replaced. And since I walk with a push cart and never carry my bag because of the pressure and strain it puts on my back, I got a bag that works well on either a driving cart or the push cart. Now, I'm still trying to decide where to position each club because this bag has 14 separate slots. I did it that way because I really do not like the sound of clubs banging against one another when I'm walking along the course. And wouldn't you know it, around the 15th hole, I realized that my 7-iron was missing. Now, that does not happen to me. I don't remember ever going, I can't find my club. No, it does not happen. And I asked the 3 groups behind me if they found it, and the marshal. Nope, no luck. So after the round, I grabbed a cart from the pro shop, started driving around the course, starting at 18 and working backwards. Luckily, a nice guy picked it up and was waiting for me to arrive. Moral of the story, if you carry an extra club to the green or to your next shot, make sure if you put it on the ground that you do so between you and your bag, not behind you. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for upcoming episodes, I'm open to hear from you. Please click on the Hey Fred button when you visit golfsmarter.com.